Thank you all for tuning in. I'm Selena, and this is You Plus Happy Podcast. Each week, I bring you someone who challenges us to define success and happiness on our own terms with a dose of laughter. This week, we have, I forgot to say, remember to like and subscribe to the You Plus Happy Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at You Plus Happy and subscribe on YouTube at You Plus Happy. This week we have Rod Newman, who is a creative director, artist, and producer, and literally said he has done so much it might confuse y'all. So we're just gonna jump right in. Welcome, Rod.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
So we'll jump in. How did you get started?
So, oh wow, such a loaded question there.
Any direction you want.
Good. So for me, I'm from Alabama. I come from a very rural place. When I say rural, it was like the census was like maybe 200 people, like in like 2005.
Want to say for one block?
Oh my God, you know what I'm saying? Like super small. 30 people in my graduating high school class.
Wow.
A K through 12 situation. I always been a person that had a big imagination, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had to because we didn't have much. I grew up on dirt roads and like I saw deers on a constant, basis, right?
Yeah.
I always had a mind to draw. It was like such a natural gift for me to always draw. And so arts and entertainment, I drew to it very quickly. I don't know how, it was just like I said, it's a natural gift. So at that school, K through 12, we did a musical review. And we did Motown, and they needed someone to play Michael Jackson. Now, for me, that was like my childhood hero. Mm-hmm. So they chose me to play Michael Jackson, and I blew everyone away. Like literally, they were like, I was signing autographs and taking pictures with the little kindergartners. You know what I'm saying? I was like in the 10th grade, and so that's where that stardom, I guess, started there. And I'm about to graduate, and that same teacher who threw that review said, what are you going to do with your life? I don't know. I just want to be on stage. She said, you should become an actor. I was like, that sounds cool. Where do I start? She said, have you ever heard of a monologue? I'm like, what is that? Mm-hmm. Right? And so she brought me an excerpt from A Raisin in the Sun. I learned it, and I went and auditioned after I graduated high school in 2000 and got a theater scholarship. And that's where that, I guess, my semi-professional career started in the arts and entertainment world.
Do you still act?
I do. So fast forward through, the career, I guess, that I've had, because I traveled for like 20 plus years as a Christian hip hop artist. Mm-hmm. And so I always implemented the characters and dramatics in the music.
Yeah.
But fast forward, now I have a production company, and I've did commercials. I've acted in commercials. I've also shot commercials.
Yeah.
So.
How was it? Wait, so you said you traveled for how 25
like
years?
20 plus years.
How is being on the road?
I love it.
Really? I've heard so many different stories.
I know, right? and so many different stories happen on the road. So many different, good, bad, ugly,
Yeah.
But I love the road. I love traveling. I love seeing new things. Right. I love hotel staying. Like just, that whole to-do thing with getting your luggage and bags. And it's a beautiful thing because, you get to explore a different place every other day or night, and then you get to move on to the next city.
Yeah, I love that you have that perspective, because I've talked to people who were on the road before, and they were like, it's grueling, but you had a different, I guess it just depends on what kind of person you are, that you gravitate towards that type of lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there can be a lot, and it's like, if you're a routine kind of person, I feel like it's not going.
None of that. Do I look like a routine person right now?
not just you, but
I have on a leather jacket in the middle of the summertime, but we're gonna edit that out because hopefully, you're gonna be watching this in the wintertime too. So yeah.
No, that's okay. I wear hoodies too when I run errands.
Yeah.
And we're in Georgia.
I know.
In the summer.
So you lived in LA, so like it's always cool in LA. So you can always see a guy walking around in a of the jacket.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
This is very true.
So I feel like I'm in LA sometimes.
You can do whatever you want. It's your world. It's your life.
Absolutely.
Was there ever a turning point where you realized you needed to take a different path than what was expected of you?
Such a good question. Yes, but it was, however, it was forced because, so traveling as a Christian hip hop artist, I did that again for 20 plus years. I didn't do it on a major platform. I was always independent, and during those days, Christian hip hop was unheard of. You know, there wasn't a market for it. But I had a heart and a passion to do it, and I put my heart and passion into it. You know, it was times where I remember when I started, I would just go to churches for free or go to schools for free. And then I was getting paid up to $1,500. That was just my honorarium. And then they would take care of hotel and rental cars and plane tickets. So it took on a life of its own, and it evolved into that. And so I thought I was on my way. Everyone knew where I was from, like, man, you're doing it. You're becoming that thing that you set out to do. And long story short with that, it didn't happen. I had 2 major deals on the table, and you got to understand, I did Dove Awards, I did Stella Awards, I won 2 Gospel Choice Awards, Artist of the Year, Song of the Year. People were hearing my song in LA.
Right.
Like, I got a call saying, hey man, they playing you on what is that radio station, KJLH out there? I don't know.
That's the one. That's it.
Yeah, one of them. It's a lot of them. Okay.
Yeah, it was one of them.
You know what I'm saying? KJLH, I think. And so I had 2 major deals and it didn't happen. And I went through a divorce and my life changed, and it's like, and it's more to the story obviously, but everything just changed.
Well, so you didn't want to be independent. Is that why you were seeking out the record deals?
I like being independent because being independent, you have creative control.
Right.
And to have a character in the music that I created, everybody didn't understand it at first. It was a character called the Jesus Geek. And so at first it was like, what the heck is the Jesus Geek? Until they saw it. And at that moment they was like, this thing is marketable, but we don't know how to market it. It's so unique, it's so different. So being independent was a great thing because I was able to have the freedom and the creative control to create a character. But I was almost ahead of my time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why? So when the deals didn't happen, what made you say, all right, I don't want to do this, or I'm going to take a break?
I was burnt out.
Yeah.
Time had changed. The industry had changed. Again, I was in it 20 plus years. I had been on the road. I did some overseas.
And so being independent and then going with a label, because you like being independent, because you have more creative, like liberty or whatever.
Yeah.
But so when you were discussing these deals with the labels, what made you want to go that route? Is it because it was like more funding or just?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's more funding. It's a bigger machine.
Right.
It's a quicker access into the industry. Everything that we were doing was kind of like the Chitlin circuit. So we was going to the mom and pops, which are great avenues and great arenas. That's where Tyler Perry, he blew up on the Chitlin circuit, doing those plays. So that's a great place to be. But then there comes a time in every artist, it's time to go to the next level.
Yeah.
And when it was time to have those talks about those levels, there were certain music execs were saying, we love what you do. We can put you on the road tomorrow with Deitrick Haddon or Kirk Franklin, but your music still is not commercially viable.
Okay.
And I was like, wow,
That's why it's like, when you're, I don't know a lot, but I've heard interviews and heard, everybody's heard the music industry story, right? Yeah. But when you get signed, you do lose a lot of that creativity, and so you have to kind of, a lot of times what I've heard, I don't know, but you have to get into this box. And it was like you were so far removed from something like that.
Wow, such a great point. I had a song called Out of the Box.
What?
You know what I'm saying? So that was the vision. I'm a visionary. So I was out of I was just ahead of my time,
Mm-hmm.
and they couldn't see. They could see how great it was, but they didn't know what to do with it. And to get in those arenas is all about putting marketing dollars or promoting dollars behind it, and they don't want to lose. And I get it. That's the business.
Right. That's the business side of it that people don't think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is, at the end of the day, it's like the entertainment business, and I think a lot of creatives don't know the business. Maybe nowadays people are getting more hip.
Yeah.
But a lot of times creative people want to be creative, right?
Yeah.
They're not thinking about all the business stuff. I just
Yeah.
went to a conference this weekend for radio and podcasting, and there were people there that were to help you get better at your craft.
That's right.
But there was a lawyer there, and no one was talking to the people that getting better at your craft. Everyone was talking to the lawyer because they had no idea what he was talking about. It was so far. We're not I think is as creatives, if we want to get into the business, we got to do a lot more research on the business side. Even myself.
Absolutely. So anything you do, any industry, first you have to love it.
Right.
After you love it, then you have to learn it. After you learn it, then you have to outsmart it. You have to figure out a way to, there's always loopholes and there's ways to get in. You don't have to get in through their so-called box or gates. There's other ways.
But it sounds like it's important to know.
It's very important to know.
If they come knocking at your door with some BS deal or BS stuff, and not the biggest thing I learned at the conference was he was like, have a lawyer look at any paperwork they bring your way.
Yes.
But we're also in a business where you're so hungry, you so you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, they come knocking at your door with this X amount of dollars. You're like,
so you may go with the dollars.
You may make a silly decision too, because they know you don't know.
Yeah.
And they prey on that.
That's
and I'm not trying to make this negative, but that was a lot of what the conference was about.
Yeah.
When the entertainment lawyer was talking.
Absolutely.
So, but anyway, so we don't go too negative. It's just like, but I guess we're saying is summation for that part is learn the business part.
Yes.
Because you won't know how to outsmart it if you don't know it.
You gotta learn it. Right. You gotta learn the industry in order to outsmart the industry. Yeah. That's just it's a process, and there's some exceptions to the rules. Some people get in, and they bypass that process. But even once you get in, you've seen the artists, they fail in certain areas because they didn't learn the business.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I had to do it all over again, I know it would be different. But times have changed. I don't know if the Jesus Geek would survive, or I would say he would survive. It's just a different world now. Yeah, the Jesus Geek now in today's world would look normal. Then he was out of the box. You know what I mean? And so, I was young, and I didn't know how to. I just had, like you said, I just had that passion, the passion to just get the art out. I wasn't even thinking about the business.
I know a lot of us don't. Even with I've been thinking about it a lot. Even with the podcast, I'm like, wait a minute. Because I learned a lot about business and other artistic avenues or whatever. But I was like, oh wait, the podcast, there's a lot of business stuff I need to learn on the other side. And I'm studying and researching and stuff because when opportunities come my way, I don't want to be blindsided or have no clue of what's going on. So I think that's a really important point for creatives. But going back real quick, how did you go from Michael Jackson and the theater part to going the Jesus Geek? How did all the monologue to Jesus Geek?
Yeah, such a beautiful question. So my college roommate, mom, such a wise woman, said one time, whatever you do in life, you're going to put it in your act. Yeah, so literally the Jesus Geek was the manifestation. Because the Jesus Geek came on the scene. It was like 2000 and probably 7 or 8 when he came on the scene, the character. So everything I had done up until that point, I had put all that I learned, from school, from acting. I graduated, got a degree in acting, directing in 2005. So all that I had learned, music, all my inspirations, I put that into the act. So if you go back and look at some of the footage from the concerts and pictures, you're going to see Michael Jackson, You're gonna see a little James Brown.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna see a little Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
Shout out to Paul Rubens. You know, he just passed.
Oh yeah.
Such a, you know, that was a part of my generation.
Mm-hmm.
But he was such a character. So literally, I took all those things and inspirations and my faith and put that into a package, and it became the Jesus Geek. So
yeah. I was on Rod's podcast, and one of your questions was, "What are you wearing?" But it was more, but it wasn't what you think when you first hear that question. It was, "What are you putting in your mind?"
Yeah.
And whatever it is, it's going to come out. Like it, right? So you're watching Michael Jackson, Pee Wee Herman,
Yes.
and what's the other person you said? I'm sorry. You said
James Brown.
James Brown.
Yeah, such a great performance.
It's like whatever you're around is gonna come out, and whether you like it or not.
Yes.
So it's like, be careful what you're listening to.
Come on.
And all that stuff,
Yes.
because you
Yes.
you didn't consciously do that, right? You weren't like, at least in the beginning, I'm watching Pee Wee Herman and Michael Jackson and James Brown, so I can do an act later with these with their influences. But it naturally came out because that's naturally what you were putting in.
Yes, such a beautiful point that you say that, because every time I prepare for a character, as I've said, I have a degree in acting, so I'm gifted and trained and skilled to become characters.
Right.
I was taught that in school, and I have somewhat of a raw talent, and so I naturally go in. It's like a method actor. I go and research. Everything you do, you research. And so I look at things, I listen to things in order to prepare myself to become that character, to play the character, I used to say.
Yeah. How long would it take you? Because I've talked about this a lot of, like, people, and everybody knows this. People only see the final product, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how long would it take you to put together one act?
Wow. So I put it together in my head at the moment when I knew the date is set. I'm visualizing myself on stage. Jay-Z said one time, you know, before he get on stage to perform, he visualizes himself performing the song and that sort of thing. So I did that naturally. You know, I started that process early. Whether if I'm riding in my car, I'm listening to the song over and over. So it would be crazy to ride with me, you know, when I'm preparing for a character or a concert in those days. Even now.
I can see that.
Yeah. Because the song is being played over and over and over again. Whether if it's the song that I'm performing or if it's a song that puts me in the vibe of the performance. Yeah.
So you're figuring out what you need.
Yeah, everything is like I'm a visionary, so I'm visualizing everything: props, blocking, cues, stage cues, everything. I know exactly what I should wear. Michael Jackson taught us that. So Michael Jackson wasn't wearing the glitter socks or the one glitter glove to be cool. He used those as accent marks. So wherever he threw his hand at, that's what you looked at. If he was dancing with his feet and his socks are glittering, you're gonna see that. You're gonna notice that. So the Jesus Geek had certain cues. He had a bow tie, or his hair, or the suspenders. All the things I would do on purpose because I knew it brought accent to that character.
I did not know that's why Michael did it. I thought he was just being cool.
Yeah, no. Over time, you know, Michael Jackson grew up. He was groomed in entertainment. Right. So he learned how to entertain. It's a science.
Yeah, I love how strategic you're being. Like everything, what you're saying is every detail matters. Every choice is there's a reason behind every single detail. And I think about, not to bring her up, but Beyonce. Did
you go to the concert?
No.
No. Okay. My cousin did. She got tickets. I was offered tickets, but that was way too much for me.
But when I see her videos, I feel like, I'm not a performer, but I feel like everything is there for a reason. There is no mistake. I mean, no human nature, but I think when it's planned out, from an earring to an eyelash to where the fan's gonna be, this kind of mic. Like I think every little detail, and I think that's probably what sets you apart. Because we're mentioning Michael Jackson and Beyonce, and like how many singers are there?
That's you can mention those two in the same sentence.
Exactly.
Beyonce is an amazing entertainer, artist, and she loves Michael Jackson. You know,
right.
I saw some footage from the show that she just did here in Atlanta, and she was doing one of the Jackson 5 riffs. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Because she's always paid homage to the Jacksons.
Yeah.
Because of that, because she's an artist. Right. And everything she does, I mean, is detailed. And the thing is about an artist, we can plan this stuff out, and it don't always go the way we plan it out. Right. The audience don't really know it, but when we sell it, and because we know, you know what I mean, like when we do it, like you have no idea. What I'm saying is, my point is, you have no idea on probably the stuff that we really had planned out that you don't see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're so dedicated to those little nuances and stuff, like you don't even notice it. Yeah. The audience is like, wow.
That's why they're always like, commit, don't break character.
Exactly.
Don't break character.
Exactly.
As soon as you break, if you can fix it up, y'all are the professionals on stage, right? But as soon as you break character, the audience knows, and I think that falls under singing and rapping and or any performance,
even podcasts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
If something goes wrong, I gotta, because I recorded last week, and then somebody came in and started making stuff, and I was like, and we just keep going, keep rolling with it. And she is an actress, so she kept rolling with it.
Yes.
Yeah. That's you gotta stay in it.
You gotta stay in it, because they teach us that that's one of the techniques when acting. Stay focused, because when you're acting on stage, it's spontaneous versus acting in front of a camera. In front of a camera is action and cut, and there's many takes. And on stage, curtains go up, lights come up, it's time to perform.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
I was about to say, and the audience can do anything
at any moment.
Yeah.
And you have to keep going. You have to even incorporate the foolishness going on in the audience into the act, and everybody start laughing. I did that so many times, and people just loved it. But that's because you have to learn how to just be focused. So in everything you do, podcasts, photography, videography, sports, whatever, you have to be focused and disciplined.
I'm glad you brought up sports, because there's so many analogies or whatever that align with sports, or working out. Imagine how hard it is. This is way off subject, but just imagine how hard it is. People are yelling and screaming, and you're on the field or on the court trying to make these points that really matter. And somebody's on the stage, a hater. You know, they're like, boo, air ball, all of that, and you gotta be like,
right.
That kind of focus. They're built different.
You gotta be different. I say, listen, I salute athletes.
Seriously.
Because you have to be super disciplined. Mind, body, and soul.
Yes, their bodies are next level, but their minds
have to be.
I think people, I don't think they get their flowers enough for how much their mind has to be so focused in those moments. Yeah. Anyway, that was a tangent.
I know, right? It's good because it worked. Did you play sports?
No.
So, have you ever as a sports, when you're on the court, you're like, man, you're trying to, make this decision and whatever. But then when you off the court and sit in the stands and your year's over, you know everything. Right. Why he didn't just you didn't even do that when you was playing. You know what I'm saying? Or have you ever watched a TV show and you was like, man, if I was on a game show, I could do that. But once you get on Family Feud, you're like, you know what I'm saying?
I heard so many people say that. I listened to this radio station and they were saying they thought they were going to do it so well. They got on Family Feud. When you got on there, the lights and everything's going so
lights,
fast.
Camera, action.
Pressure.
It's like,
you start saying stupid stuff.
It's like,
Let's give those people some grace.
You know what I'm saying? Much grace.
Have there been any challenges along your journey? And if so, how did you push through?
Yeah, like I stated before, that work-life balance, I was so dedicated in becoming the character or what I had set out to do. I also had a personal life. And so, you're trying to balance that. And being at that time, I had met someone thinking that, and we started dating and it got serious and, you know, at that time, I'm like, I think the right thing to do is to get married. And that wasn't the right thing to do. Because, you know, when you take on something like that, of that responsibility, it's time to change your focus. It's not about you. It's not about the character anymore. It's not about what you're trying to do. You need to change direction a little bit and take care of what you had signed up to do. And it wasn't time for me to do that yet. And I didn't know at the time. I thought I was doing the right thing. In the South, getting married.
I was just about to say, your upbringing, did that have a lot to do with that
decision?
Yeah,
and then the church, you know,
right.
You think that's the right thing to do, you know, especially if you're, if you're doing things you probably shouldn't be doing as two adults, you know, and you're not married. So you're like, okay, we need to get married.
Did you feel like a lot of shame and guilt? Not to go too intense. I'm not talking about not the divorce, but to get married, to like pressure you into marriage. Not that she was.
No, I wanted to be married.
Oh, really?
I've always wanted to be a married man that was very successful and took care of the family and raising up the other little kids to become, take over the business. You know what I mean? Like, that was my vision. It just wasn't time. The thing that I lacked most and I struggled with, not having a male figure in my life to mentor me. And because I always saw entertainers on stage. Right. So I thought that was, that's the only way that I could pattern my life after. And so, fast forward, like when I look back on some of my life in the career, I didn't become probably what I was headed to because I took that route and to be married. And I tried, my son came out of that marriage and he's turning 11 in October. Aww. Yeah, so it's been that long. Man, time fly. But when I look back on it, like I shouldn't have did it at that time. It wasn't time yet.
Right. And what do you mean by it wasn't time? What would you have done? What would you do differently?
I would have stayed single.
Yeah. So focus on your career.
Yes.
I think about that a lot because I'm new to this city and all that stuff, and I think about, and I'm trying to get back into everything artistically and creatively, but there takes a certain commitment.
Yes.
I haven't made it, whatever that means, but I know even seeing, like, especially in the beginning stages, it's like a baby and it needs the most attention. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, how do you balance your personal, like, I know you have to make sacrifices, right? Yeah. But how do you balance still being a human? Like, you know what I mean? Because I could see where it's easy to get burned out when you're going to events and you're trying to meet people, and then you got to do the research and the work part and then the social part. So you can meet people in the industry. You move to a new place or whatever. So it's like, but then you also want to have maybe a spouse, or you want to just go be in the park, or like, and then you still do the research. But we're talking about learning the business side of it, and then the creative part, practicing, rehearsing, and studying. How are you gonna do it now?
So that's such a great question. It's time management. It's knowing your boundaries. Knowing, on this day I'm gonna do this, that, this, and that, and then on this day I'm not gonna do any of that. I'm gonna take care of self. Also having a good support system. I have a great support system. I just moved here about 5 months ago, but I have a fiance in my life now, and she's a great support system. You know what I mean? Like, and it's such a blessing because I met someone who understands who I am and what I do.
Right.
She gets it. She gets it. Like, there is no pushback. There is no stepping on her toes on each other's part. Even the things that she's doing. I support her. She supports me. Yeah. So I have such a peace of mind. Yeah. When I go out to do things like this, or I go out to the event that I met you at, weekly. I do that weekly. I'm dedicated because I take care of first things first. I take care of home. I didn't do that when I was young. Right. I didn't take care of home. I was the person, I would rather go record a song than pay my light bill when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I thought that was a thing to do because I was passionate, and my song ended up getting on the radio and doing great things. But when I came home, I'm clicking the light and it ain't working, Selena. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? But I don't do that anymore. I take care of first things first. I take care of home, and then all these things are added to me, and it's so easy.
Really?
It's so easy. It don't even feel confusing and overwhelming anymore because I've set things in place. But I learned that over time. It didn't just, you know what I mean? Like I turned 41 this year, so like it took time for me to get to the point on how to do first things first.
And that's just learning like what first things first, and then setting those boundaries, because you have to learn first things first, right?
Yeah.
Then set the boundaries.
Set boundaries.
Right? And then have enough. Maybe I'm going too deep with it, but like, and also have enough self-worth and self-love to feel comfortable making those boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like we can overexert ourselves if we're afraid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You got to. It's okay to say no.
Right.
You know, we grew up in a society. We grow up in a society where we've been conditioned to a society. We feel like we have to say yes all the time. It's okay to say no. You know, when you was growing up, and then your mother, and you ask, "Mom, please, Mom, please," and she's like, "No."
Yeah.
And do it with a smile. Some people that hear no, oh my God, what do you mean no? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's okay to say no to some people. Yeah. Because self-care is good care. It's not, self-care is not selfish.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, do you think you can start a relationship and a career, this kind of career at the same time?
When you say this kind of career, what do you mean? Because it depends on
one of these careers that take a lot of self-discipline, a lot of self-motivation, a lot of boundaries, because there's so many things. It's not a 9 to 5, right? Yeah. So it's not like you have a boss who hires you and then you go in from 9 to 5. No shade to that, but you just have really clear, strict guidelines for your day, right? And you know, okay, at 5 I'm free. Where a career like this is sporadic, it's all over the place. You have to, on a whim, do something. You got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. All these things, and then you might get on a project. You don't know how long you're gonna be on that project. So when I say a career like this, I mean one that is all the things I just described. There's no kind of structure.
So I think it's wise to not put the cart before the horse.
Okay.
I met my beautiful lady on the way too. I was on my purpose. I wasn't off track. You see what I'm saying? I wasn't off in some nightclub, which there's nothing wrong with being in a nightclub. No shade to that.
That's just not where you were.
I wasn't there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you can meet great people in a nightclub or
a
bar.
Where you were.
I wasn't there. You know, that wasn't me at the time. You know what I'm saying? She was the makeup artist for a client that I was filming something for.
Wow. Okay.
And she came in and I brought her a table for her things, and I offered her water. And fast forward, you know, we're together, and this is like almost year 3 now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I met her in that purpose on my way to.
So you're saying, when you say don't put the cart before the horse, it's like don't worry about anything else but your purpose.
Work on purpose.
And then things will come.
It's going to be added. It's almost like, you know, the paper chasing. You know, don't chase money, let money chase you. Don't chase women, let the right one, or men, the right one will be right in front of you.
Yeah.
When you where you want to be, where you need to be, where you're happy, where you feel successful, they'll be right there.
Yeah.
They'll be right there. You have to trust that. You know, you can't be impatient or too haste to get outside of what you got to do with your business and what you got going on, and go outside to find something, because sometimes that's called a distraction, and they could set you back. They could set you back so many years, and you have to work your way back. Come on now. hey, I ain't saying something that I heard, Selena. I'm talking some stuff that I know, done experience. You know what I'm talking about? I've probably been a distraction to somebody. Just a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
I'm being sarcastic when I say a little bit.
I know. I already know because I done been there. I probably I done been distracted. I've probably been a distraction. And again, time. You know, thank God for grace and mercy, and thank God for, you know, a praying mother that I have that kept me spiritually on the track, even when I probably was off track.
Yeah.
You know, to put me back on the track, and now, you know, everything is thriving, everything is successful, everything is just flowing and going, like water. Of course, you have your good days and bad days, because I'm still living just like, you know what I'm saying, everybody else. But
when you said telling people no and boundaries, I don't know if that was in the last thing you said, but you said it earlier. I just wanted to say, when people tell me no, who I love and care about, it just makes me respect them more. Because I'm not that they need that, or that was the goal, but I'm saying that to say, like, I've struggled with boundaries in the past, and I still do. Like, I'm not, so, but I have to remember, the people who care about you and love you, or want you around and respect you, that's only going to reinforce that love and that respect. Because it shows that you love and respect yourself. And that's why you have boundaries in place, because you're protecting yourself for what you need. And it's not even necessarily about the person asking, right? Because I remember I asked my grandmother for something once, and she told me no, and it made me love her so much more.
I was like, oh my God.
I was like, this lady respect her, but she respects herself and loves herself, and it didn't have anything to do with me, or that she didn't want to do something for me. It was what she was, a decision that she had to make for herself. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Absolutely. So, and the people around you, that's who you want around you. People who respect your nose. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's a message for the listeners, but also a message for me. I gotta
for
remember, because I gotta be like,
yeah.
So it's okay. Because I get so scared to tell people no, because I'm scared that they wouldn't want to be around me or something. No. And I'm like, well, if they don't, that's good.
That's good.
Then you
they're
got
not
rid of them.
supposed to be there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's how you weed people that's supposed to be there. I love, like, again, over time, emotional intelligence is an amazing thing to grow in. You know what I mean? Like, I love talking to people like yourself that understands that. You know what I mean? Like, they be like, okay, before we do this, we're gonna do this, that, this, and that. I'm like, oh my God, that's great. I love that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not offended. Business is business, and when grandmother probably said no, she probably said it, no, baby. You know, I love you, sweetie, but no.
No. And then
you're like, discussion. I love you. Thank you. You know?
It just made me respect her so much more, because I never had heard. She had never told me no before. And that was the first time that I didn't. I'm proud of myself too, because I wasn't mad. I was like, she's popping. My grandma popping.
Popping. I love it. I love it.
In our society, we talk about success so much, but we never talk about the failures on the road to success. And so we kind of touched on this, but was there ever a time when you felt like you failed, and what was your biggest takeaway from that experience?
You know, life, there's blessings and then there's lessons. And so what I went through, you know, I've learned a lot from my lessons. I've learned from my blessings, and some of my failures that I would, I guess, regard as failures have made me stronger. I think you know, I hope I'm what's the question, because I want to make sure I answer your question.
Sure. Basically, if you felt like you had a failure, what was your takeaway?
To just keep going. Don't stop. Don't stop. You know what I mean? Like, because in an age where I just had a best friend, I mean, and we don't have to call his name, superstar. I mean, he got everything he wanted. We were together. We did art together. We danced. We created, and you know, he moved out to LA and became a huge star. You would know him if I say his name. We'll say it after. We'll talk about that afterwards. But he committed suicide, and that hurt me. I felt like I felt in that moment, because I didn't get a chance to have a conversation with him because I want to know, what made you not want to go on anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I've hit rock bottom, or there are times in my life that I felt like, yeah, this was probably rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I've hit those rock bottoms, but I learned how to keep going.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And keep breathing and keep living. So that was my biggest takeaway, to keep going. I would tell anyone struggling with, possibly taking their own life, to just keep going.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna get better.
Yeah. That's way out of my depth and wheelhouse when it comes to that, like suicide and stuff. But
I'm sorry.
Jim Carrey. No, Jim. No, it's fine. I think a lot of people have know somebody or dealt with something like that.
Yeah.
And I do read a lot about it though, and I'm like, I used to be obsessed with like, why do people do it, and read all this stuff about it. But Jim Carrey said he wished everybody in the world could have all the fame they wanted and all the money and all the, I'm paraphrasing, but all the success they wanted, so they know that's not it.
Wow.
So you just literally described his quote of like, this person that you came up with, they got everything they told you they wanted, and it wasn't the answer.
Yes.
And so that's what I think about a lot. Like I try to think what would make me happy, right? Yeah. And I'm like, I know, like if the podcast gets 1 billion views and it takes off, I know that wouldn't change my level of happiness temporarily, right? Yeah. But like, I think it would be like they said, winning the lottery, the people are really happy in the beginning, and then they go back to their baseline happiness after a few months.
Yeah.
And so I think it's that same thing, and I'm wondering what that it is. Like where Jim Carrey was like, and they figure out that's not it. It's something inside of you, and that sounds so Disney, like it was always inside of you, but it has to be, because you see these people get everything they thought they wanted, and that wasn't the answer, and then it's like, well, what is the fucking answer? Because I'm like, and we chase. This is a tangent, and I don't have an ending to this, but it's like we have these mindsets, and not everybody, but I know I have fallen, not victim, but fallen into this. You chase. It's like, what are we chasing?
Exactly. So, such a great point. So, I don't want to take up too much of my time, but I grew up watching TV, watching cartoons, watching movies. And this one cartoon, Coyote and Roadrunner. Okay. Familiar with it? Looney Tunes? Alright, so what did he do every episode? He always tried to catch Roadrunner. He always tried to catch Roadrunner. He even went out and spent his money with Acme. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where he got his money from, but he went out and spent all kinds of money with Acme to catch Roadrunner. Because why? Coyote eats Roadrunner. And so he every episode, we watched it day in, day out, week to week. And he finally, in one episode, true story, I was watching this, he finally caught Roadrunner. Okay. When he caught him in a trap, he held up a sign, because we all know that's how Coyote talks. He don't speak, he just hold up signs. He says, now that I've caught him, what do I do with him? And he let him go. Wow. A lot of times in life, we've been chasing and we finally get it. We finally get what we want, and we don't know what to do with it. Because here's the thing, you always had it the entire time. Yeah. It's what you're doing now, your podcast, the podcast has already blown up. And I'm not just
right. I get where you're going.
It's here now. It's thriving now. It's successful now. You should be happy, because there was a time where the podcast wasn't manifested yet, and you were working on it, and you were. It would be successful. It was going to be successful when it came to pass, when you were working on it. And so now that you got it, now you're trying to do something, or we're trying to do something else to get to the next when you're already here. Yeah. It's kind of like in retrospect of, the internet. We look on the internet and we see all these people that we think doing all this great stuff, and we mentally and psychologically chase after what we think is success on the internet, but you're already successful. Because there are people looking at you like, man, I wish I had a podcast. They're watching this right now at home in the stage of wanting a podcast, and they're looking at you as successful now. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're already here. Now, when it comes to viewership and your reach and scaling ability, that will determine to other markets and people saying, okay, you've made it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're already here. You
Yeah.
already have everything you need.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I hope
Okay.
that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
I guess I don't have to chime in on every response.
Well, that's what you can find happiness in that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That, like, I'm happy right now being here with you, this moment, this time right now, because that's what life is about. And I'm not trying to be so deep, but I've learned so much in my life.
No.
I have to tell it. I have to tell the truth. And I told you that when we talked.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna tell the truth because I know how important this camera is, this moment right here. Life is about eternal moments.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And this moment that we share is gonna ripple into, you know what I mean, into time. So like I'm happy now. I'm not basing my happy on when 1 million people see this. You know,
Okay.
I had just said it real quick and I'll digress, but you know, I had told a story about a guy, he had 10 people subscribe to his YouTube channel and they were watching him faithfully, but you know, 10 people, that's, you know, when you meet somebody and you be like, hey, watch my YouTube channel, and they see you got 10 subscribers, they like, come on, bro. But I heard one of those subscribers was Oprah.
Wow.
Think about that. One of them was just Oprah. Now in Oprah,
Are you sure?
She worth $1 million.
Okay. Wow.
And now he works for Oprah.
Well, yeah, in a similar story too. I'm not trying to like be there like, well, I have one too. I have a story too. But just that I want to add to that and drive that point home.
Yeah.
I think Tyler the Creator said he was following a rapper who had like 6 subscribers.
Yeah.
And he was like, told him keep going. And he was like, you only had 6 subscribers, but you didn't know where he was gonna go.
Yeah.
I don't know who the rapper was. I think I can't keep up with these young folks.
I know, right?
But I don't know who. So I don't know who the rapper is. Now I'm getting to the age where I'm like, I like who I like. I'm sorry, y'all.
Yeah, at the moment, you know what I'm saying?
I can't keep up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I got other stuff to do. But it is important to think. I know we're not describing success in this way of like who's following you or how many followers you have, but you that's like a separate thing, right? Because the first thing you're saying is like the happiness and the success comes from doing the thing that you visualize.
Yeah.
The thing, your idea came to fruition, and
Yes.
you made that. You did that.
That is the secret.
That's what
the idea is the secret. You know what
so
I mean?
that part is what you're saying is to you is happiness and success.
That's happiness and success. That's where it lies right there. And the thing is, we keep fooling ourselves and distracting ourselves and getting, you know, thrown off track trying to chase the same thing. That's the reason why we always end up back with the idea. You know what I mean? Because it started with the idea, and then we go on this journey, and then we lose ourselves. Sometimes when money comes into play and fans and, you know what I mean, a lot of stuff, we'll tend to lose ourselves. But then when after all that, you've watched the unsungs and you see what I'm saying, like the where are they nows and you know what I'm saying? It always comes back to.
Wait, you said something, and this might not even be. It might just be on a different scale too. But you said this is why we repeat things. So the idea, but then it reverts back, and we go back to what we were at first.
Yeah.
But why? You said why do we repeat the stuff that we don't want? Is that what you were saying?
I don't know.
Okay.
We have to rewind it.
I think I heard that. I was like, wait, you gonna give me the answer?
See, you're inspiring me. Everything we're doing right now this conversation is inspiring me. So I would like to go back to know what I said because I don't know.
Because you were saying unsung and all of that. I can't say it verbatim, but that's why we end up back where we were because we have an idea, and then we get caught up and get distracted by other things.
We do, yes.
And then it throws us off course. Okay. I don't know if I can get back there.
I don't know.
All right.
We'll come back to it. But, I mean, you eventually, like I said, you essentially lose yourself, but to find yourself again. Some people, before finding themselves, will end themselves or the things that they're doing in themselves. But, like, for myself, the reason, what I can speak of in my journey, I've found myself again, and I've found happiness. But I realize it's in those little small moments that I started with before the podcast, the pre-production stage. It's really like that infant stage or that child adolescent stage. You know what I mean? Like I saw a podcast the other day where this guy was saying like, your success is actually linked to your childhood trauma. You know what I mean? Like, and depending on how you affect it, and sometimes it's like you wanted to please your mom or wanted to please your dad. Like Michael Jackson, because we've been talking about him.
Yeah.
All he wanted to do was just wanted to be loved by his father, and he found love from all those people, and that drove him to become the greatest entertainer.
Right.
And that's great because he became the greatest entertainer, but at times he still didn't find the love from just his father.
Huh. Yeah.
So, yeah. So
fun times. And I'm being sarcastic.
I know.
But it's like,
you know what I'm saying?
That our success is tied to our trauma.
It is.
That's something to really unpack there. Not today, but in life.
Not today. Yeah, because whatever that is, and Eminem. Like go look at Eminem. Like the reason why he became so successful because he was talking about his mother and he was talking about his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And he talked about them well because he was so traumatized by that going on in his life. He became one of the greatest rappers that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like a fine line between your blessing and your curse, your gift and your curse. It's a fine line between those two sometimes.
Yeah. I was sitting next to this guy one day. He had Icarus on his phone case, and I asked him about it, and he was like, that the whole story, I don't know the whole story about Icarus, but he was explaining that like the thing that you love could kill you because Icarus was flying too close to the sun and it melted him or something.
Yeah.
Did I make that up?
No, I know what you're saying.
So it's the same thing. Like the gift can be like yin and yang, two sides to the same coin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I don't know how to surmise this. We just got to be careful. We don't have the answers. We just.
We're not. Listen, I don't know. Everybody has a podcast now, so this,
My goal, the goal of the podcast is for people to be thought-provoking and have some gems and some takeaways, and I think that's a lot of takeaways. I'm not ending the podcast like it's not. The goal is not to give the answers necessarily because I never said I had them because I don't. Yeah. But I will make us think, and I think that's what we're doing. Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
So that's all. We don't have the answers for the gift of the curse.
Tupac said, I'm not saying what I'm saying is going to change the world, but hopefully it'll spark the mind that will change the world.
I love that. Yeah. And like we said earlier, like everything that you consume is a part of the fabric or like of who you are. Yeah. And so I hope that the goal is to put things out there that are helpful. Yeah. That's the biggest thing.
Yes.
Yes. But anyways, who or what, we talked about this a little bit, but who or what has been your biggest motivation up until this point?
My son.
Really?
My son.
Oh wait, he's 11.
He's 11.
So he was in your world for 12 years because she was pregnant.
Yeah.
All right. What was your biggest motivation before your
child?
That, I'm not trying to negate the kids.
Dang, I thought I was gonna get away with your son. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
I was trying to, you know what I'm saying?
Because everybody started to give me that answer, and I'm like, no, I need something else.
I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? All right, let me give y'all my real answer. My real answer. I'm gonna give you a real answer. I'm a Gemini too, so you know what I'm saying. I guess I'm gonna have to speak it how I speak it. I wanna be known for my ideas and my creations that I feel so passionate about.
That's what you want to leave behind.
That's what I want to leave behind.
And that ties into
That's what motivates me.
Yeah.
Because I've always been, I guess my childhood trauma is show and tell. I want to share what I'm inspired by. I believe that, inspiration breeds creation and vice versa. It's like, does art imitate life or does life imitate art? So for me, Like before there was even a Michael Jackson, that had to be a James Brown, because little Michael Jackson was looking up to a James Brown. And he was so inspired by James Brown, which prompted him to create and to share with the world his creation, but it came out of his inspiration. So because inspiration was embedded into me early to be inspired by certain musicians and music and art and creation and TV shows and movies, it's in me, Selena. It's deep down in me, and it motivates me to create because I've been so inspired throughout all those years and everything. And here's the thing: the irony in it all. Everything that I've ever conceived, I've produced it. Now, a lot of people probably haven't heard of the Jesus Geek, or they haven't heard of the graphic novel that I illustrated myself and designed it and drew it, or the podcast that I have, or the Old Hits Production House production company that I now own. You probably haven't heard of it, but everything that I've ever conceived, I've produced it. Because that's a part of my purpose, is to produce. That's a part of a lot of us, is to produce, to create, to procreate, to produce. And it comes out of that inspiration, and that motivates me every single day until the day I die. I'm gonna always create. You know, some may call me a jack of all trades, a master of none, but
no, but there's more to that quote.
You better say it.
I don't know.
I know it.
Okay, you got it.
So
I don't know it verbatim.
I already know because I've looked it up, but I keep forgetting it.
And
I have to look it up.
It's actually good to be a jack of all trades.
It's great to be a jack of all trades, a master of none, but it's like I'm gonna have to. I wanna.
My phone's recording.
I want to Google it. Can I just? Hold on.
This is the first time we've ever Googled on the show.
I know. Like, I'm gonna just go. Because we gotta. Because I say it all the time, but I always forget it when it's time for me to say it.
I should have my Wi-Fi should be working. What is it?
Hopefully, this is the first. This is first on the.
Master of None.
Yeah.
Full quote. Because I was just thinking about this. People always put that quote down.
Yeah.
But it's not. But oftentimes better than a master of one.
Yes.
A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
Yes.
But also, who came up with this quote and who cares? That's the better question. But anyway, go ahead.
I like that. Yeah, because, and I've mastered being a master.
Oh, it was from Shakespeare.
Of
Cool,
course.
but still.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
It's a lot there. But you have mastered.
I've mastered the art of
jack of all
trades. You know what I mean? And I've produced and created a lot of stuff, and I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
And that motivates me every single day.
Has there been a time in your life when you were not creating or not producing?
Yeah. You run out. You do run out as a human being. You run out, but you have to fill yourself back up again. And you brought up such a great point earlier about what you're listening to and what you're putting in your eye gates, your ear gates, what's coming out of your mouth. A great philosopher said, you are what you think about all day long. Right? So when I do run out, I have to it's like an athlete. You have to train. You have to get back in a state to refill. And sometimes I refill myself with past memories because I love the nostalgia of things, and I'll take something from the past and recreate it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's fashion, like if you look at some of the you look at Paris, they doing the bell bottoms. That was the 70s.
I went to Forever 21 recently, and I was like, I'm in high school right now.
This high school.
Every fashion is all 100% back. That's showing my age because it's all back. But what I was thinking about, so you don't look at it when you don't feel creative, because even though creativity and your purpose, creativity and producing feels like your purpose, you don't get worried or mad at yourself or have these negative feelings when you're not in that space.
I used to.
Okay.
There was a time where, but that's called impatience.
Oh, now you allow it instead of resisting it.
It's a part of it. It's a part of the process.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm working on this book called P Words.
Okay.
P Words is, it was a time where I was impatient. I had to learn patience, to persevere, to produce. Don't get, persuaded into, veering off to do something that you regret. You know what I mean? Like, P words are real. It's a real thing. And so I was impatient, and I wanted to produce, and I wanted to get out these passions, and it wasn't time yet because it wasn't purposeful. Everything, there's a time and a purpose. Everything, everything. And sometimes we rush the process.
Ooh, I like
That's
that.
another P word. So you have to know the process and don't rush it. Go through the process because it's gonna produce in the end. You know what I mean? And so it's a time where I love going through the dry spell. I heard a millionaire say once he's a multi-millionaire. You know what I mean? But every time he goes broke, every week he goes broke. Because he know how to, you see what I'm saying? He puts himself back in that state.
In his mind.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, sir.
Yeah,
Okay.
not physically.
Literally, not with the financial.
But money don't actually exist. Again, that's
another.
that's a whole. I'm sorry.
No.
It's
I'm
so
not
much.
cutting you off, but I'm saying these subjects are so plentiful.
Yeah.
You can't tackle them right now.
I know.
But I'm back with you.
Sorry.
But what you said was with the when you rush things, being impatient is not based in a purpose.
Yeah, premature.
So I like that to look at it like you're not telling anybody what to do, but it's like when you're being impatient and kind of in this. I'm picturing somebody being in this flurry, like frantic almost to get something out, to do something, but it's just not the time for that.
It ain't time.
And I just read something that said. Nothing. It was online. It was on Instagram. I wasn't reading that place. I don't want to make it sound. I was reading my book.
What you reading?
I did read my book. I mean, it was Instagram. But it did say. It said nothing in nature blooms all year.
Beautiful.
And I don't know whose page it was. I would shout them out. I'm sorry, but that really resonated with me. Of like, I have to remember that because I know for me, not being where I necessarily want to be, and I know everything is like. We could talk a lot about every little sentence, like, well, where you want to be, and like what we were just saying, like how we're defining success and all that. But when I'm not exactly where I want to be, sometimes I get into a space of like, will I ever make it? So the negative self-talk that you have to fight out, or like be like, whoa, stop. Like if you're conscious of,
yes,
you know what I mean. But getting kind of down, like, and then but instead of accepting that this time is how it's supposed to be, but also not letting myself off the hook of saying, have I done everything I was supposed to do, or what? You know what I'm saying? Being
accountable is good.
Yeah, holding myself accountable, and I'm saying that for the listeners as well. It's like I'm not saying because I know for me. Anything, if it's not balanced, is too much, right?
Yes.
So too much grace. Now you just now you're just playing.
You playing.
Now you just playing.
You tempted.
You gave yourself too much grace.
It's like, stop playing.
It's like, all right,
come on.
Grace is very nice, but it's also it has to be balanced, right? So I think with with that being said, with that caveat or whatever, but also accepting those that season or whatever of. This is not the time to produce, and that's okay.
Yeah. And
the time will come back around.
Yeah.
Life is full circle.
It is. And I love where you start out with the quote about the blooming. It's foolish of a man to go out to plant a seed on Monday and come back on Tuesday and see if you have a fruit.
Right. I thought you were going to go even deeper. It's foolish of a man to plant. I'm not a gardener, but plant a seed in the winter.
Wow.
When it's not, that's not the season.
That's a great perspective too, because that's a whole nother perspective.
Right.
Like you're not even planning in the season. You know what I mean? Wow.
Damn, we out here.
I told you.
We expounding.
But and the thing is, like, success and all that stuff, and where you think you want to be. I don't want to burst nobody's bubble, but that stuff don't exist.
I know what you're saying.
It's not really real. You know what I mean?
It's real, depending on what your definition is, and I could disagree.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying there are materialistic things.
There are tangible things
that
marks for success.
Could equate to success in your mind.
I can see that.
But I'm thinking of what you're saying from the perspective of like, those are not going to change who you are. You saying it like that's not going to
from
change
the emotional state, and because sometimes that can ruin everything. The mindset.
Yeah.
And it'll take you through a world of despair. And depression.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to stay away from that if you don't have those tangible things yet, because there's nothing wrong with tangible things.
Nothing.
And whatever that may mean to you, because I want tangible things.
Same.
But don't go crazy
over it
if you don't have it right now.
And I think again what we said earlier, and I probably sound like a broken record, but those tangible things are only going to make you happy for a moment. They're not going to, even if the moment is a year or two, it's not. It's like a drug almost.
Yeah.
The high is going to fade.
Yeah.
Because think about all the things you've wanted in life. Yeah. Like materialistic stuff. And I know you might be talking about something a little different. It's not going over my head. But just to make it, I try to tie every answer to a bow best I can, just for the sake of the audience.
Yeah.
But those things, that high is going to fade. And think about the things that you wanted so bad that you got. You're like, oh, I want this. I want those shoes. I want this. And think about how long that high lasted. I'm not saying it's not a high, because you do. It feels great. But it's not anything sustainable or real. Of like what you're saying. I think that was on the lines of, in the direction of what you were saying.
Absolutely.
Of like, those things are not really.
Yeah. And I love how you kept using the word high, because sometimes you get so depressed. Some people have to self-medicate, and they have to get high in order to stay sane.
Yeah.
And that's something, and I'm not bragging about this, but this is just my journey. You interviewing me today.
Exactly.
This is my moment to say I don't get high. I don't drink alcohol. I never had a taste for it. I've stayed in this sober, vigilant mindset. Yeah. Now, life can almost drive you crazy, you know what I mean? But because I didn't have to self-medicate, I had to learn how to self-regulate my feelings and emotions, and it taught me on how to be happy in my good times and bad times. And I had to go through that training to endure, because life is just happening to me like it's happening to everybody else.
Right.
And so as I get older and grow and grow and grow, like that little flower coming up through the soil, I learned how to withstand the cold. I learned how to withstand the heat.
Yeah.
I learned how to, I get strong. And so I want to encourage somebody, now if you have a medical condition and that sort of thing, please do what you got to do.
Right.
But if you can learn how to self-regulate your emotions and feelings, and stay away from the artificial high, and learn how to cope with yourself and your emotions and issues and different stuff like that, it'll teach you on how to get through those tough times.
Yeah. And
you know what I mean?
Being self-reliant.
Yeah.
And so you don't need anything. And I'm like you were saying, I'm not a doctor and this stuff. If you need to talk to somebody, talk to a professional. Don't
therapist.
Take this. Don't
therapist is a good thing.
Seriously, don't take this and be like, oh, I'm good. No, okay. But
oh, that's all I need. Shoot, I'm stopping it right here. I'm straight. You know what I'm saying?
You still gotta think for yourself and make some smart decisions.
Thank you for that, Selena. Because you know what I'm saying. But this is just my thoughts and my life, and hopefully you're inspired by something I say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm not the end all be all.
No, and neither am I.
Yeah.
I'm just interviewing people, y'all. Just a person.
Yeah.
But
I just met you last week.
Right.
2 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying?
But I like what you're saying of being self-reliant, and I've been reading a lot about letting go and distracting ourselves and all the ways that we distract ourselves. And it sounds like, and a lot of the stuff was saying, sit in your emotions and feel them so you know how to process them and like all those things. But as soon as we feel an uncomfortable feeling, we do something to distract ourselves of like, this is a little different than what you were saying, but this is what I was reading, like and I didn't read this on Instagram. I read it in a real book, but even like going on social media or eating something or just doing something to avoid that feeling, and it gets pushed down, and then you don't know. It compounds within you, and then you don't know why you have these feelings that are getting bigger and bigger, and then you just want to suppress them more and more and more and distract ourselves. So I think when people hear the word high, they might think, drugs, but there's a million ways to get. I don't want to not say high for this, but just to distract ourselves. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like a beautiful thing that you don't try to run from what you're feeling, and you just sit in it. Yeah. Even when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, shout out to you. It took me years to learn that.
Hey, me too. And hey, if we don't have time to tell my whole story, but there's more to the story.
Yeah.
That rock bottom situation. Yeah. I've been there. You know what I mean? And I'm back. But hey, I had to go through that to learn my lesson.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My lessons and stuff. So.
At least you learn it.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a lot more things to say. All right, I'm gonna wrap us up because I don't have the time for the show, but I try to give people for an hour.
Gotcha. We still record because I don't want us to.
Yeah. All right, so we already talked about, because I had my questions, but we already talked about a bunch of these things. I think I'll just ask 2 more questions and we'll wrap up.
Okay.
Because we were talking about our influences and what we're around gets inside of us. So the people that you're around, your inner circle, what do they have to have? What qualities do they have to have?
Wow. They have to be a good listener, non-judgmental, and I'm glad you brought that up because a part of my success is based on the people that are around me. The quality of people, and I'm not talking about a quantity of people, you know what I mean? Because we think having a quantity of people will, equates to success, but the quality of people that I have around me that listens and when I go on my rants and talking and, you see what I'm saying? They've been a unofficial therapist in my life, and you know what I'm saying? You know how you got that friend. It's a blessing that you got that friend you can call and you can just start cursing at the top of your lungs, man, and they ain't judging, you know what I'm saying? And that's a dope thing, you know what I'm saying? I have that. I have the friend that we talk about. We can talk about the moon and the stars and aliens on other planets. And then we can talk, and we can, in the same breath, we can switch and start talking about real estate. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? And then we talking about pop culture, and then we back to, you know what I'm saying? Life.
So well-rounded.
Wow, such a great quality person that I get a chance to call my friend and talk to, and that makes me successful. You know what I mean? I tell people all the time, and I'm not just BSing, but I say, man, I'm a rich man. And I say that, and it's not so much because of the bank account. It has everything to do with the quality of people that I know. I know some geniuses. I know some intelligent men and women that I get a chance to talk to on a daily basis. I could call up and we can have conversations about anything.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing.
I love that. It's so funny. Out of all the people, whenever I ask that question, I don't think anyone's repeated the same answer. It's always surprising. Like the people I interview,
it's so diverse.
Yeah, it's always something new. Now, I'm fascinated by that.
Nope.
Okay, and then I do want to ask real quick. All right, there's 2 more. Okay. I promise.
Take your time. I'm good.
What do you want people to say about you when you're not in the room?
That man, I was inspired by what he said. I was encouraged to do the idea that I've been thinking about. You know what I mean? I want to give off that energy. You know, people, you know, when people meet me and you know, after if we're on camera or off camera or whatever, people are like, man, your energy is different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's infectious. And I love that because I know what's inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a part of my purpose and my passion to share my spirit that I've been nurtured in and I've been inspired by throughout the years. I want to share that energy and that spirit. That's the reason why, you know, it's not funny when you mourn the death of someone you don't even know, like a celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like a Nipsey Hussle or, you know, Tupac has been in, you know, you go on YouTube now and Tupac stories and people, like, I saw a comment, someone said, man, it's amazing how I miss somebody that I was, you know, died before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
That's because the spirit of a man or a woman or a person it's infectious. It's bigger than any celebrity could ever do. And so I just want to be able to, when I leave the room, you feel the spirit. You know what I mean? Because we never get our flowers until we dead. You know what I mean? We really don't never see a person's greatness until they're gone. I hope people see the greatness now because I'm not scared to share. I'm not scared to give off my energy to the world. I've always been like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm it's almost like I fear, it was a time where I feared that people don't see what's on the inside of me. And you ain't gonna see it either you're gonna see it now, you're gonna see it when I'm gone. Because you're gonna feel it. Because spirit is real. Mm-hmm. Spirit is real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, we're like kind of bound in these flesh suits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we can only do so much. Mm-hmm. But when this stuff, and I'm not trying to be deep. I promise
no,
you
I'm 100% agree.
You know what I mean? But when this thing is dead and gone, y'all gonna feel me.
Yeah. I always think about ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Yeah.
That's all. Like we're just borrowing our these meat suits.
These meat
suits.
Just
take care of them.
Take care of them as best as you can.
Here.
You know what I'm saying?
But there's more. I do believe
it's so much more
that there's, and we're connected, and that's why we have like intuition and telepathy, and like we draw things to us.
Yes.
I think some of it's our mind, but I think more of it is our spirit, and that's why like. Anyway, I'm not gonna keep going. No, because I could be like.
I feel so bad.
No, don't feel bad because I'm the same way. Because I can start talking about all this spiritual stuff, all my epiphanies, and it's just, we don't have 5 hours.
I know. Well, hopefully we can chop this thing up and you know what I'm saying, give people.
And you
this
can
stuff
come
in
back
doses.
on the show too.
Hopefully, thank you.
And I can have, we'll have a weirdo episode where we can talk about all the weird stuff that we believe in.
We talk about the moon and the stars. And,
we'll talk about money isn't real. We talk about William Shakespeare. We talk about the aliens. We can talk about spirits.
All that.
I'll have a whole other set of questions.
All right, let's make it happen. I'm down for all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm down for all that.
My last question before we wrap up
is,
what piece of advice would you give to listeners who might want to do what you've done?
Everything is created 3 times. You write it down. You speak it, you talk about it. Well, you think it first, you write it down, and you speak it. So whatever you're trying to do, whatever it is, think about it, write it down, make it plain, make it visual, and then start telling people about it. Just start talking about it. You'll start to become. You'll start to attract. You'll start to do everything that you've been thinking about. You'll start manifesting everything you've been writing. You will start getting in rooms and having conversations with people you've been talking about. Like, it's real. It's real. You don't have to have money. You don't have to have the money. You don't have to have the business plan per se. That could be the business plan you write down. Mm-hmm. But I've been here in this city for 5 months. And the rooms that I've been in already has been amazing. From celebrities to podcasts, people like yourself, has been amazing because I thought about it. Everything that I've ever conceived, I produced it. I think about it. I write it down. I'm moving to Atlanta. I'm doing this. I'm going out here to this place. I'm doing this. And then I start talking to people. I start using my mouth. I use what I got. You know what I mean? And I speak and I'm confident. And I may not know everything, but I believe in what I've been thinking about. And you will become it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Everybody, let's go put it to the test. Think it, write it, say it.
Yes, think it, write it, say it, and you will do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else before we close out?
You know what? I always wanted to say this now. You know what?
Edit that
This is what I want to say.
That's why I really wanted to come on.
Right.
The show.
Thank you, really, that you've allowed me to. I'm gonna kick back and really say, I'm silly, y'all. I'm happy. I'm in a happy place, Selena.
That's good.
I'm in such a happy place. God has been so good. I'm so thankful. I have such an assignment to do, and I'm here for a reason. I'm here in Atlanta for a reason. I'm on this podcast with you for a reason. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your gift, your talent today, because it has truly inspired me. It's given me the opportunity to share my purpose with the world, and I hope and pray that what we said today have sparked that mind that will change the world today. And I really believe that, and I see that in my mind, and I dare say that with my mouth, and I know is what's manifested today. So yeah. Thank you for this eternal moment.
Of course. Thank you for being here. Okay, so I'll close out. Thank you for sharing your time with me and inspiring our listeners to redefine success for themselves. And thank you, listeners, for listening. Remember to like, comment, and share this episode. Please leave a review. We really appreciate your feedback. Also, subscribe to the You Plus Happy podcast on YouTube and follow us on Instagram at You Plus Happy. You can also follow Rod on...
You can follow me on Instagram. That's where I am the most, at O Hits Productions.
Okay.
That's the business page. O Hits Productions. It's an acronym, which means out here in these streets.
Okay.
O Hits Productions. And you can follow my personal page, A Newman Project.
Okay. And where to follow Rod will be in the show notes. So check there if you need to. And so we'll see you next week, when we same time, same place, and we ask our guests to say the tagline. We'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
That's what I gotta say. Do I need to read that?
Come on, use your acting chops.
Alright, what is it? Okay, what is it? I'm sorry, God.
We'll show you.
Dang, it was going so well up until this point.
We'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
We'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
Hey!